The Warring States period is drawing to a blood-soaked close. Qin has already crushed Han, partitioned Zhao, driven Yan to the edge of annihilation, and swallowed Wei whole. Only two powers remain, a complacent, neutral, Qi and Chu, a sprawling 8th-century-old empire, with vast territory, hundreds of fortified cities, and a battle-hardened army, led by one of the greatest tacticians of the age, Xiang Yan. For King Ying Zheng of Qin, the man who would become Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China unification, is no longer a dream. It is a political and military inevitability. Or so he thinks. What follows is not just a war between two states, but a clash of egos, a masterclass in military strategy, a catastrophic failure of judgment, and a redemption that would seal China's fate. This is the story of Qin's fateful campaign against Chu, the humiliating defeat of Li Xin, and the relentless, calculated conquest by Wang Jian, a tale of hubris, humility, and the brutal mathematics of ancient empire building. Let us set the stage in the Qin court in Xiang Yan. The air is thick with triumph and impatience. King Ying Zheng has spent years orchestrating a series of blitzkrieg-style conquests, and his military machine is operating at peak efficiency. He gathers his top commanders for a critical war council. How many men does Qin need to destroy Chu once and for all? Two voices emerge, representing two opposing visions of warfare. First is Li Xin, a young daring general, fresh off a stunning victory over the remnants of Yan's forces. He is bold, ambitious, and convinced that speed and shock can overcome any obstacle. When asked the required troop strength, Li Xin answers without hesitation, 20,000 soldiers. No, 100,000. 20% of what the veteran claims. 20% is enough. The court erupts in murmurs of approval. Ying Zheng himself, a man who prizes speed and decisive action, leans toward Li Xin's plan. Then comes Wang Jian, a grizzled, battle-scarred veteran, who has delivered Qin's most pivotal victories over Zhao and Yan. He steps forward, his voice steady, unyielding. "Your Majesty," he says, "Chu is not like the other states. It is too large, too populous, too deeply rooted in its identity. To occupy its land, secure its supply lines, and defeat its full army in open battle, you cannot do this with 200,000 men. I tell you plainly, non-600,000 men cannot conquer Chu. 60,000 men. That is not an army. That is Qin's entire available military force, every able-bodied conscript, every veteran, every reservist, stripped from the borders, the garrisons, and the homeland. It is a gamble with the nation's very survival." Ying Zheng scoffs. He dismisses Wang Jian as old, timid, worn out by decades of war. "The general has grown weak with age," the king declares. Li Xin speaks with the courage of a true conqueror. The decision is made. Li Xin is appointed supreme commander with Meng Wu as his deputy. 20,000 Qin soldiers march south toward Chu, confident of a swift, glorious victory. Wang Jian, shamed and ignored, retires to his estate in Pingyang, waiting for the inevitable reckoning. At first, Li Xin's campaign looks like a masterpiece. His army splits into two columns, striking fast and deep into Chu territory. They seize Pingyu, Qinqiu, and push toward Yanying, once Chu's royal capital. The Chu forces fall back, seemingly overwhelmed by Qin's discipline, iron weapons, and superior crossbows. Reports of easy victories flood back to Xianyang. Ying Zheng celebrates, convinced he has chosen wisely. Li Xin grows overconfident. He pushes his troops farther south, stretching his supply lines thinner and thinner, ignoring warnings that his rear is exposed. He believes Chu is on the brink of collapse. But Xiang Yan, the Chu commander, is playing a deadly game. He is not retreating out of fear. He is luring Li Xin into a trap. Xiang Yan knows the Chu terrain, knows his soldiers' endurance, and knows exactly where Qin's greatest weakness lies: overextension. The fatal blow comes not from the front, but from behind. Chang Pingjun, a Chu prince, who had served in Qin's court and was trusted to govern Yingchen, a key supply hub for Li Xin's army, suddenly revolts. He cuts Qin's lines of communication, burns their grain stores and allies with Xiang Yan's main force. Li Xin is now trapped. His army is deep in hostile territory, surrounded with no way to retreat safely, and no fresh supplies to sustain the fight. He has no choice but to turn his army around, abandon his advance, and march north to crush the rebellion at Yingchen. This is the moment Xiang Yan has been waiting for. Xiang Yan gathers his elite Chu warriors and launches a pursuit that will go down in ancient military history. For 3 days and 3 nights, his army marches without rest, without stopping, closing the gap with Li Xin's exhausted, disorganized troops. When they catch up at Qingfu, the Chu army falls on the Qin rear like a storm. The Qin soldiers are caught off guard, drained from forced marches, and demoralized by the sudden reversal of fortune. Xiang Yan's men breach 2 of Qin's fortified camps, slaughter 7 high-ranking Qin commanders, known as Duwei, and tear through the Qin ranks. The defeat is total. Li Xin's once proud army is shattered. Thousands dead, thousands captured, weapons and supplies abandoned. Li Xin himself barely escapes, with his life fleeing back to Qin, with a ragged remnant of his command. The news reaches Xiang Yan like a thunderclap. For the first time in decades, Qin has suffered a catastrophic, humiliating battlefield defeat. The unification project hangs in the balance. Ying Zheng's rage is quickly replaced by cold, brutal clarity. He was wrong, Li Xin was wrong. Wang Jian was right in a move that reveals the true measure of his leadership, one that few monarchs in history could muster. Ying Zheng sets aside his pride, his ego, and his anger. He travels personally to Wang Jian's estate in Pingyang, unannounced, no royal procession, no pretense of superiority. He stands before the retired general and apologizes openly and humbly. "I did not listen to you, general," he says. "My mistake led to the ruin of our army and the shame of Qin." Chu grows bolder by the day. "Will you abandon me, abandon Qin?" Wang Jian, ever the realist, does not gloat. He does not demand vengeance or honor. He repeats his single, non-negotiable condition: 60,000 men, your majesty. Not one less, otherwise I will not take command. Ying Zheng does not hesitate. "You shall have every soldier you ask for. The full might of Qin is yours." This is an act of almost unimaginable trust. In ancient China, handing a single general the entire national army was akin to surrendering the throne. A rebellious general could march back to the capital and seize power. Ying Zheng knows this, Wang Jian knows this. To neutralize the king's inevitable suspicion, Wang Jian makes a shocking request before he even marches out. He begs Ying Zheng for grants of fertile farmland, luxurious mansions, and titles for his children and grandchildren. He does this not out of greed, but out of survival. Later, he explains to his aides, "The king is suspicious and distrustful by nature. He has just given me every soldier in Qin. If I do not act like a man obsessed with personal wealth and safety, he will fear I have greater ambitions to take his throne. By begging for land and titles, I prove I only seek security for my family, not power over the empire." It is a masterstroke of political self-preservation, a quiet acknowledgement of the paranoia that haunts every absolute ruler. In 224 BCE, Wang Jian marches south at the head of 600,000 Qin soldiers, the largest army ever assembled in ancient China. The entire Qin nation is laid bare. There are almost no troops left to defend the heartland. This is a gamble with existential stakes. If Wang Jian fails, Qin is defenseless, and all its conquests will unravel. Xiang Yan meets him with roughly 400,000 Chu troops, a force that is still formidable, motivated by patriotism and the defense of their homeland. The two armies face off along the Huai River Valley. What happens next defies every expectation of ancient warfare. Wang Jian does not attack. He does not charge. He does not accept Xiang Yan's repeated challenges to open battle. Instead, he orders his men to build massive, impregnable fortifications, high walls, deep moats, layered ramparts. He feeds his soldiers, well, lets them rest, bathe, and train with light exercises like stone throwing and long-distance running. He eats with the rank and file, shares their hardships, and builds morale to a fever pitch. For months after month, the standoff drags on. Xiang Yan is bewildered, then frustrated, then desperate. He sends riders to taunt the Qin lines. His men shout insults, challenge individual soldiers to duels, and stage mock attacks. Wang Jian ignores every provocation. He understands a fundamental truth that Li Xin never grasped: Chu cannot afford to wait. Chu has a vast territory, but a fractured nobility, weak central governance, and a fragile supply network. Its army is large, but it cannot sustain a long static war. Qin, by contrast, has a tightly controlled, state-efficient tax and grain systems and secure supply lines from the conquered northern states. Wang Jian is not just fighting soldiers. He is waging a war of attrition against Chu's ability to govern, feed, and sustain its army. Inside the Chu camp, pressure builds to unbearable levels. The Chu nobles demand action. The king urges Xiang Yan to crush the Qin and end the stalemate. The soldiers grow restless, bored, and demoralized from months of waiting without battle. Supplies dwindle, morale collapses. Xiang Yan has no choice. In 223 BCE, he orders his entire army to break camp and move east, hoping to reposition, resupply, and find a weak point in Wang Jian's defenses. This is the exact moment Wang Jian has been waiting for. As soon as the Chu army begins to move, disorganized, strung out in a long column, its rear exposed, Wang Jian unleashes his trap. He orders his full rested and furious army to attack. Elite Qing cavalry charges, first slamming into the Chu flanks. The main infantry follows a tidal wave of bronze and iron that smashes through the Chu vanguard. The Battle of Chinan is a slaughter. Xiang Yan fights valiantly but cannot stop the collapse of his lines. He is killed in combat or takes his own life. According to some historical accounts, his army destroyed, his dream of saving Chu shattered. With Xiang Yan dead and the Chu main army annihilated, nothing stands between Wang Jian and the Chu capital of Shuchun. The Qin army marches on the city unopposed, breaches the walls, and captures King Fuchu of Chu, ending over 800 years of Chu royal rule. Remnant forces, loyal to Chu, try to rally in the Huainan region, proclaiming a new king, but Wang Jian's army hunts them down without mercy, erasing the last traces of resistance. Chu is no more. The fall of Chu is the decisive turning point in Qin's unification of China. With Chu destroyed, Qi's surrender is a mere formality, a bloodless formality that comes just 2 years later. The Warring States period ends. Ying Zheng becomes Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, and forges the first centralized unified Chinese empire. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient China, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more epic history. See you next time.